Hello, Will here, and welcome back to Will's Digitals, your home for everything Photoshop and composite art. Today we're going to do another breakdown on a composite of mine called House on Keller Hill. This one's kind of special to me because the house in the picture is actually the house that my grandfather lived in and my dad grew up in. As you'll see in a minute, it's a black and white picture, and a lot of things in this picture are not exactly what they look like, which is kind of cool. But let's go ahead and cut the layers down here. Okay, so the first rule when making snow, when you don't have snow, is you can actually do it from sand. And I'm going to show you how. But first, we needed to add the trees. Now these are all kind of black because the whole scene, if you recall, is at night. It's in the moonlight. So it doesn't particularly matter that they don't match this lighting. We made the whole thing black and white, which is actually going to be good in a minute because the snow is white. You see, it's starting to look a little more like snow already, right? Okay, now here's the house. That's the actual picture of the house that I had. And as you can see, let me disable the layer mask. This is the actual picture of the house. I took a layer mask and I cut it out so you would be able to see the trees on the side, and I made it blend here with the sand. Next, I did a rear tree, and that also had a layer mask. Let's disable and look at that. And you can see it was actually a whole bunch of trees. My problem was I wanted to see the house. The house is really, to me, the main subject. I think probably most people would see the man standing there that we'll get to in a little bit as the main subject, but I wanted to see the house. So there we go. Next, I did a curves adjustment layer. We just kind of darkened everything up. Remember, this is going to end up being in the moonlight, in the dark. So we darkened everything up. Next, I added this hiker. I just found this hiker on I think it was Pexels or something like that, one of the free stock sites. So I grabbed him, pulled him out. I think he was in a mountain scene by a lake. I just pulled him out of that. Because we're going to darken everything in a little bit, I brightened him up here. Now we used a color lookup table. This one we went with a night from day. There it is. A night from day color lookup, which is now we really are starting to look like it's at night. Okay, the hiker still needed a shadow, and I know it sounds funny because of the darkness of the scene, but remember there's going to be a moon up here and there's going to be light coming from the house. So there would have been a shadow, so I had added that. I didn't necessarily add the shadow at this time. I probably added the shadow when after I got all the light, the moon and the windows lit. But all right, we're going to add another curves adjustment layer here. And did we do anything? Sometimes I add a layer, try something, I don't like it, and I forget to delete the layer. So I don't even think that layer does anything. Okay, but now we're going to add the moon. This is a picture I took of the moon 10 years ago. And there are a lot of secrets to shooting the moon. You can't just take an automatic camera or your cell phone and in automatic mode get a good picture of the moon. The darkness versus light confuses it. But anyway, sometime maybe I'll throw up how I took a picture of the moon. But that's what we've got up here. Okay, now we're going to go with another color lookup table. And this one is Moonlight, which is going to still darken it up some more. And now what we did is Window Light. And I really should rename that to be just Yellow Light. So what I did is I took just a flat yellow piece of a flat yellow layer, we'll put it that way, In fact, if we go through this and disable the layer mask, it's vivid light is how, if, here, let's look. See, if it's normal, it's just a big old yellow spot. We went and we made it vivid light. And then I went in and on a layer mask that I had made all black, I began painting in the light where I wanted it. So we painted it in the windows, painted it on the moon, painted it lightly out here. Careful to keep his shadow in line. All right, now we're going to do snow, and I don't mean on the ground, I mean falling snow. And what we did with that is I just made a layer, and I went to my brushes, and I have some brushes that'll do snow. You can find them all over the internet if they didn't happen to come with Photoshop. I don't remember where they came from. I very rarely actually bought brushes, so it's either on Adobe brushes.adobe.com or something like that. But you can find snow brushes everywhere. So I went and made some snow, did a screen blending mode, and then we used a smart filter and we just blurred it a little bit. Because if we take this off, you can see they look a little bit too crisp. So I just did that and blurred them up just a little bit. Now here we have another curves adjustment layer, and we kind of brighten the whole thing up. And now we do another color fill with yellow. This is mainly on the ground. We're not really up in the house with this one. It's mainly just brightening up the ground a little bit, as you can tell from the fill. Again, this is a hard light blend mode. Smoke. This is another piece where I used to photograph incense smoke a lot, and there's a lot of cool things you can do with incense smoke and gradients to make it look really cool. But I just took the incense smoke and we put it in a hard light and lowered its opacity so that it kind of blended in and you could kind of see through the smoke. And that's how I ended up getting the smoke coming out of the chimney. All right, now it's time to start kind of bringing this together a little bit. So we added a texture over the top. A lot of times what a texture can do is just start bringing everything in to look like it's in the same scene. Okay, next we've got levels. And you can tell I did this a while ago because I almost never use levels now. I use curves almost exclusively. Okay, so what I did here, I wanted to start applying filters to the whole scene. But I wanted to be able to control them later. So I had a tutorial a while back on smart objects, when and why we're using them. It was part of a top 5 mistakes beginners make. And I will have a link to that in the show notes. But so what I did is, if you hold down Shift, Option, Command on a Mac, or Shift, Control, Alt on a PC, and then hit E, it'll take all your layers and it will merge it down to a single layer. And that's what this is. I then turn that into a smart object, and then I put a camera raw filter on it, and unfortunately I didn't turn it on so you can see what it looks like. You can see we've darkened it up quite a bit. So let's have a look at the camera raw filter. This is the good thing about smart objects, is I can go back in and look and see what I did. I can explain it to you, and I can change it if I want to. So let's see. Okay, so we brought the contrast up just a little bit and brought the highlights down. Color, we backed off the vibrance just a little bit, and we moved it just a little bit away from the green. Went +7 on that. Nothing in the effects. Didn't do anything really. Oh, I take that back. Highlights and the lights, we just barely bumped up just a smidge, +2 and +1 respectively. color mixer we played around with a lot. So we tried to bring out the oranges from the moon and the lights in the house, and backed off the yellows. I was trying to get more of an orange than a yellow. That's why I did it that way. Added a little bit in the aqua to kind of bring a little bit lighter of a blue to certain parts of this. Kicked a little bit of the blue up and a little bit of the magenta up. And then I think I messed with color grading, but I don't remember exactly what I did on that one. Let's see. Detail, didn't do anything there. Optics, I don't usually use. Lens blur, no. All right, so that's camera raw. By the way, as a finishing touch on almost anything, now I almost always use camera raw just to try to tighten all the colors and everything up. I highly recommend it as a last step. And as you can see, it is my last step because the last layer, it's my next to the last step, I guess. My last layer is the signature, which is right here. I did the signature with just a brush that I created. At some point I will do a video on how to create brushes and how to create a signature brush. But that's it. That's House on Keller Hill, and that is Snow from Sand, Dark from Light. There was a whole lot of change in this one, so had fun doing it. Liked the way it turned out. But I guess that's about it. Until next time, have a good one.